and care about other people. And likewise, right? That's reciprocated, and that's how relationships become so strong. Your best friend is your best friend because you took the time to care about that person and learn about that person and realize that you have all these things that are in common, right? So I think that that's probably the key is just it's
This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today to start turning your dreams into a reality. So, ladies and gents, thank you for joining myself and Brian Schulman. Brian Schulman is an entrepreneur, the founder of A Voice Your Vibe, a LinkedIn video creator, a dad, a husband, and he's also a miracle baby who is not expected to live. Brian was diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome in his teens, and he just might be one of the nicest human beings alive on this planet. So, without further ado, give a huge warm welcome to the one and only Brian Schulman. How you doing, Brian, man?
I'm doing good, Logan. Thank you, buddy.
100%. So, let's jump right into it. What's the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Oh, wow. Well, you've kind of alluded to 2 points of it that kind of all comes together as one. So, I mean, being born, Logan, being born, because being a miracle baby that wasn't supposed to live and fighting for every breath to make it into this world at a pound and a half, uh, and then being diagnosed with a neurological disorder, as you shared, called Tourette's syndrome, preteen, and dealing with a lot of adversity and bullying growing up and being different and being an outcast and an outsider, and I certainly had a lot of love around me, but we go through things in life where one negative can kind of overshadow a ton of positives. um, but I realized that through all of that I didn't want to ever treat someone the way that I had been treated at times. And I wanted to be a giver of good and light and positivity and encouragement and support, and help others wherever and however I could. And so that's what I try to do every single day. And it just comes back to my why, which is to inspire one person a day. So if I can inspire one person a day to get up after they've fallen 50 times and know that by getting up every time that they are succeeding, or that they actually reach that goal or not, or I can inspire someone to chase their dreams, or I can put a smile on somebody's face when they don't have one, or make somebody feel good about themselves when they just don't, because we all have those days. If I can do any of those things, or even inspire someone to inspire someone else, just one of those things for one person a day, then I have accomplished my mission as a human being, which is to help make the world a better place. And the reality is that one person does have the ability to change the world, because it's a ripple effect. And I truly believe wholeheartedly that there is so much more good in this world than there is bad. There's just not enough light shined on it. So I try to shine as much as that as I can, every single day on platforms like LinkedIn and others. But I think that's the short version.
Oh man, it's beautiful, man. You're making me feel the feels for sure. I got tingles going down my back and my hairs are standing up. But I want to jump into the next question, which is What's the most valuable piece of information that we should know that's within your expertise slash industry?
Wow. Look, I voice your vibe when it comes to business is really all about helping people understand that every single human being on this planet has a voice,
Mm,
and that voice matters, and everyone has a story, and their story matters, and it all comes from your heart. Whether you're a person, whether you're a person that's a part of a team within a company, whether you're a company as a whole, that voice all comes from the heart. And when you speak from your heart, no matter whether you're a brand, you're a company, you're an individual, your message will always come across from the right place. So I think the key is just always come from your heart. Whether you're making a video, whether you're creating your messaging for a brand, whether you're trying to attract a specific tribe around you, if you're genuine and authentic and you come from your heart, your voice will always come from the right place.
100%. Sheesh, that's strong, man. What's one of the best pieces of advice you've gotten on relationship building?
Oh wow. I have lived my whole life around relationship building. And I think personally it's because of where I've come from. Relationships are so important to me. People are so important to me, and I care so much about people. And I think that's the one thing that truly matters the most is that, and this goes for leadership too, by the way. The best leaders in the world do one thing in common. They care about the human beings that
Mm,
they're surrounded by. So when it comes to relationships, truly caring about people and wanting to know how you can help people, it's all about giving. Relationships are all about giving. It's I give to you and you give to me. We give to each other. You give to give. You don't ever give to get. And I think when it comes to relationships, that's one of the most important things is be a giver. Be a giver of good, be a giver of your heart, be someone who wants to help people. And when you do that, you are always going to build wonderful relationships because it's always about the other person. It's not about you. And then that is how you build great relationships. You take the time to learn about other people and care about other people. And likewise, right? That's reciprocated and that's how relationships become so strong. Your best friend is your best friend because you took the time to care about that person and learn about that person and realize that you have all these things that are in common, right? So I think that's probably the key is just it's caring.
man, I love that. I love that so much. This is why I love you, man.
I love you too, man.
What is what is something recently that you changed your belief about?
Something recently that changed my belief about. That's an interesting question, Logan. So I am a someone who gives all the time. I do give to give, and I have had to change my thought process a little bit about learning to receive better.
Mhm.
It's something I have continuously need to unlearn, if you will, right? Because the way a dear friend of mine said it was, they said, Brian, you are constantly giving, right? And every great relationship is it's a give and a give. It's giving and receiving.
Mhm.
And I don't ever focus on the receiving part. I just want to give and help people wherever I can. And I think the thing is that what we have to realize in relationships is that it's a two-way street, right? You have to be able to receive because those relationships sometimes are not made whole when you're not able to receive from someone who really wants to give back to you. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think a huge struggle that so many people have though is focus.
Mm.
What was the number one insight for you that gave you permission to go with this choice in your business and the business that you're operating currently?
Yeah, and it's a really good question, Logan, and you're really, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It is hard to focus. We're all like squirrels. We get distracted so easily by everything that happens around us, right? And and so it's really easy to get distracted. I think the key is it is focus, right? It's focusing on that thing that brings you to life. I had this conversation with people every single day. I've been on LinkedIn, legitimately on LinkedIn for 14 years every day. And one of the things that's happened is when I came to this platform, I came to help people. I didn't know how, because back then you couldn't do anything. It was just a digital resume. You could search for a job, and you could connect by hitting a connect button with people. Well, once you started to be able to use your voice on the platform, I started having people reach out to me about transitions in jobs or changing careers or industry changes or whatever. And every time I'd have a conversation with someone, I'd say, okay, let's do an exercise. Pull out a piece of paper, fold it in half so you have four squares. So fold and fold. On one side are all these jobs, all these great companies and brands that you'd love to go work for, that you have great experience and you'd make great money doing, right? Below that would be all the executives that you'd either work with, you'd have to interview with, or you'd have a relationship with. The right side is throw experience out the window. If you could do anything, wake up tomorrow morning, fired up, excited, and passionate to do anything of your dreams, what would it be? You want to cure cancer. You want to fly to the moon. You want to build an airplane. Literally, whatever it is. And then who, from the highest of highs, meaning you never think you'd ever could get your hands on these people, to the way bottom, who would you love to mentor you and teach you how to do what you would dream to be able to do? The thing is, Logan, is that in 20 years I've been in the startup world helping build and grow companies from the ground up. I've never asked myself that question because for me, it was all about supporting my family. And I think we go through these steps, right, where we do what we need to do and take care of us and take care of our families. We have to pay our bills and all those things, right? Don't get me wrong. I've loved what I've done for 20 years. I didn't do it on purpose, though. I fell into it, because I loved building relationships and I loved people. And so it gave me an ability to be able to do that and make great money doing it and support my family and have the flexibility through travel when I needed to, but to be able to be here in my home office and do my thing and be the master of my own domain and 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 not miss anything, not miss a moment of my kids' lives, because that was most important to me in terms of focus. I knew I could find a way to do it. So when it comes to focus, I finally asked myself that question about, what was that, from March? I don't know, 6 months, 5, 6 months ago. Um, what does the right side of that paper look like for me? Because it was just never a thought in my mind. So I think the key is, what I'm trying to say is, my whole life has literally led up to this moment, Logan, where Voice Your Vibe came to fruition because through my journey of not having a voice coming into this world and finding that and voicing my vibe and attracting different tribes along the way, and certainly finding a family I never knew I had on LinkedIn, and changed my life. And then a year ago through LinkedIn video, just I literally found a voice I never knew I had, in a way to be able to affect people that I never thought I could. Because my story, my life story, as you know it, of being a miracle baby and having the neurological disorder and growing out of my womb, if you will, of being shy and then becoming more social. And really just a year ago, discovering that me sharing my story was actually helping people in so many ways that I never thought were possible. And of all places, right? 500 million people in the world to come out and share my story for the first time. So that focus, doing that, gave me so much focus in a way that I never could have imagined. Because a year ago, I wasn't thinking about building a company. I was just thinking about how can I help affect people in a very positive, uplifting, and aspire to inspire people kind of way. And I was doing all that. And then all of a sudden, things just happened in life which brought me to the now, and people in my life which affected me to come to where I am now. So focus comes in so many different ways, Logan, by the things that happen in our life that affect us, to make decisions, to think from our heart of what what do you want to do? What makes you happy? Because look, life is short. We can't we cannot determine whether or not we're going to have another breath to live 60 seconds from now, 60 years from now. Why wait? Why wait to do what you love to do? So, yes, there's never a right time, and yes, we have to take care of life. But why not do that doing what you love to do, what you're truly passionate in your heart to do? Because any of those things is going to come out every single time when you are doing that, no matter who you're working with. So focus, a really long answer to a short question. Focus. Your question was really around, give it to me one more time, because now I forget the real theme of it.
No, are you someone who's trying to build your online presence and you're finding out that it takes some time, a lot of time, and someone might recommend, hey, you should write a book and become an expert in that area so you're known for that one thing? Well, a book, as I've gone through it and come to find, takes a long time. It takes about another 1.5 years. But that doesn't mean that you can't become known for your thing. I think the best way to do this is through starting a podcast and getting a website out there that can archive all the work and the content and the area of expertise that you want to be known for. Because you want to be the go-to guy when someone thinks of, hey, I want to get in really good shape, but heck, I don't know what it's going to take. And you know that your area of supremacy, as I dub it, is to get someone into really great shape. And what if you could bring on other influencers that already have a name for themselves online onto your own podcast to create content to rank in really well, to be the go-to guy when it comes to being the enthusiast that you wish you were online, to be the influencer that you wish you were online, to be known as the expert. If you look at what's been happening in the world, it's all going towards online. So if you're still running a business and overhead's high, please reach out. Logan at LoganTylerNelson.com. And this is a service where it's a done-for-you podcast. We'll get you systematically hooked up to where you have a website, your podcast, and it really gets you on the roll to where your job is just to come in and have the fun part, which is interviewing the experts that you wish you could align yourself with more, and to start actually making some noise and disrupt this whole idea that it takes another year to get really known for your area of expertise. So if this at all interests you, just email me, Logan at LoganTylerNelson.com. Again, that's Logan at LoganTylerNelson.com. You can't really go, and squirrel. You just gotta realize that you gotta phase it out and sort of like, okay, this is gonna be the thing that I do for now,
Yeah.
and then also I think what you beautifully said is, who do you want to really be one day, and who do you want to become? And I think that's That's enormous for me. That's why I'm doing this show. Is Tim Ferriss really inspired me, and inspired me about, even though he was such a high achiever, he started talking about his suicide and his anxiety and his suicidal thoughts, at least. And so, like, I really want to I aspire to be a Tim Ferriss like person that doesn't really want to be a master of just one thing, but wants to become acceleratedly amazing at one thing, many things, rather. But um,
Yeah.
so I want to ask you, though, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. So this is interesting. I was at VidCon, which is the largest global video conference in the world, a handful of months back. I'd never been before. We were representing LinkedIn there, amongst a sea of other incredible creators on YouTube and other great platforms. And there was a pop-up that Viacom did there, and it was this campaign called Generation Change. And I had walked out of this LinkedIn Creator Summit that Goldie put on for video creators, the very first ever. It was amazing. And Q and I walk out, Quentin, and Chantel walks up to us and says, "Hey, you need to go next door and tell your story. They're doing this incredible campaign. It's literally all about what do you stand for and what do you want the next generation to hear." And so we went, and they had two different sides to this. These big white posters that say hashtag Generation Change and Viacom in a big line, and they said, "Write down what you stand for." And I said, "Voiceless and differently abled," because I was voiceless and I am differently abled. And then next door, they said, "Okay, if you want to be interviewed, go next door." And so we go next door, and Q goes, and he always calls me his LinkedIn dad. And I'm like, "All right, go. I'll take pictures of you. You do your thing, and you'll be great." And when he comes back, I said, "No, I need you to do me a favor and stay here because I'm freaked out right now, but I want to do this because I believe I need to share this." So I get in front of the camera and these lights or whatever, and they ask you a bunch of questions. And the question they asked was, "What do you want the next generation to hear?" And Logan, it was surreal to me because I was sitting there feeling like I was 13 years old again, and in the height of my Tourette's. And at that time, I was somersaulting from room to room, jumping up and down, making tons of facial expressions, tons of noises, these intense neck twitches, wrist flicking, and a lot of them commingled. And they're all uncontrollable. And more times than not, you don't know you're doing them. And so he asked me this question, and I felt like I was 13 years old again. And I said, "What would I want to hear?" And what I said to them was that you matter, that you have a voice and that your voice matters, that you have a story and that your story matters, that you're loved, that, and a number of other things, um, including my story. But I think the biggest thing is that is what I just said. Because honestly, Logan, up until a year ago, I didn't share my life story with anyone really. I can count on one hand the number of times I talked about it. Fifth grade, when I got diagnosed, I got up in front of my class and my teachers and parents and said, "This is what I've got. I don't have a disease. I'm not contagious." And I was like terrified and comforted at the same time to be able to finally put a name to something. I wrote a paper about it in eighth grade. I wrote a paper out in college. I would have one off conversations with people if I thought it might actually help them some way. And the only other time I talked about it outside of last year on LinkedIn video in front of 500 plus million people was for a job interview I went to in the very early days of my tech career. This is during the dot boom era. And I had no experience. I had no legs to stand on. And all I could think of was, I'll just tell my story, right? Because it's about resiliency and I've got, you know, tenacity and I can learn and just give me a shot, right? Because we all have been given a shot in our life. It doesn't just happen. And so I met with 8 different hiring managers and a bunch of people in between, shared my story about being born at preemie, all the things we talked about. And every single time they'd say the same thing, but why should we hire you? Needless to out of there with my head down, defeated. I didn't get the job and I felt defeated. And I said to myself, well, I'm never going to talk about that again. And I didn't. Because honestly, Logan, all I ever wanted to do was be normal. And I'm putting up air quotes for your podcast. I always felt like the weird kid. I always felt on the outside, even though I had good people around me. I did feel that way. And but I also didn't want that to be a crutch. I didn't want to be, this is the way that I had looked at it, for a lot of my life was just, I just want to be normal. I don't want to be different. I want to blend in. And what I realized was that I have a superpower. This is a gift I was given. And I didn't realize that I had this gift, if you will, since my very first LinkedIn video 200 videos ago, last end of October, when I shared my life story with the world on LinkedIn. And the reception that I got back from that, which is where it came from. So what I would tell myself is that I do matter and I do have a voice and my voice does matter and I do have a story and my story does matter. And it's a way for me to positively affect people in a way that I never could have imagined. And so that's what I would say, and I had little trickles along the way and knew because I had come across a kid that I grew up with in high school that I discovered through walking in the hall. I knew it immediately, Logan. He did 3 different ticks at one time, and I said, "He's got Tourette's, and he has no idea." And I went home and told my mom, and we wound up having conversations with them, and I knew what it felt like to not know. I didn't know for years what was wrong with me. My mom didn't know what was wrong with me. Finally, we had gotten an answer. To go through life and not knowing what's wrong with you when there's something quote unquote wrong, and you don't know what it is or how to fix it. I mean, what an incredible burden that you feel. And to be different, not know why, and not have answers. And so to be able to actually help someone, we sent them to our specialist that we had finally found at UCLA, and we were able to help bring some clarity. And it was an amazing gift to know that we were able to do that. But I didn't think about it that way I didn't think about it that way until last year. That it was truly a gift in a way for me to use my voice to inspire people, to help people in so many ways that I still am so humbled by, which is why I keep sharing my story and why so many keep saying the world needs to hear your story. And at first, I kind of was just like, really? I mean, I feel like I keep saying the same thing over and over again, and they're like, but yeah, but don't you realize, like, not everybody listens to the same thing. There's people who are all over the world. I mean, it's important for you to keep sharing that because if you're able to affect one person by sharing that story, as you say, to inspire one person, you know, what an incredible gift that you have. So I would tell myself that I have this gift, that I have this superpower, that I do have a story, that I do have a voice, that I do matter, and that I have a way to help people by using that voice. And
Man,
that is how Voice Your Vibe came to be, man.
yeah, man, I love the story around it. That's deep. That's deep. I think, man, the reason why I say you matter and you're enough at the end of every single episode of this podcast is just because I know for a fact that everyone does matter and they're enough. And but I want to move on and try to wrap it up soon. So I'm gonna try to tighten you down and in 30 seconds or less type
You got it.
answers for the next few. But
You got it.
in your opinion, what's the key to happiness, man?
Happiness is happiness is something different to everyone.
hmm
I the fact that I'm able to wake up every day and breathe and live, that's happiness. You know, I have an amazing family around me. That's happiness. I get to help people every day. That's happiness. I get to make people feel good about themselves. That's happiness. And if I'm able to actually inspire somebody, that's happiness.
That's that's beautiful. And if anybody is not friends with you on LinkedIn or is connected with you, um, then get ready to connect with him, because you'll see how happy he makes everyone else around him. And that's what I would say for Brian Schulman, is he has that amazing candid ability to do so. What's your favorite quote and why?
I'm like the king of quotes. For me to try and find one is
J- just the first one that comes up in your head.
um oh man. Well, we just did this You Got This campaign on LinkedIn, where we all shared quotes from ourselves. And so I would share the same one that I shared, which is that, and I've already kind of alluded to it, was that you have a voice and your voice matters. And you have a story and your story matters, and that you're loved,
I love
and
it.
that I believe in you and we believe in you.
I love it, man. Um, so I want to know one place that people can find more Brian Schulman.
Yeah, LinkedIn.
All right.
Definitely LinkedIn.
I'll throw that in the show notes, and you can just click on it with any device you're listening to right now. Either maybe you're listening to an Apple podcast or Overcast or Stitcher. It's going to be super easy to find that. And then I want to go in stretching the surface curiosity questions, which is just two specific questions for you. What are the best times that you have found to post on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you're getting started, I find first thing in the morning is a great time. 8 o'clock Eastern is a great time to post. 6 o'clock at night is another great time to post. Um, but honestly, when you feel it's right, post it. Yeah, there's some method to the madness and whatnot as you're starting to build your tribe, or kind of attract your tribe. If you show up consistently, this is a great example. Shout out Saturday. Every single Saturday I do 5 a.m. Pacific time. I always post my Shout Out Saturday series. That's 8 o'clock Eastern. And I just decided that was going to be the time. And every single Saturday, I show up consistently at that time. And every single Saturday, people show up consistently at that time. It's like watching your favorite TV show, Logan. You got a show that you watch every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. You show up, you know what channel, you know when, you're ready to roll. It's the same thing. If you show up consistently, your tribe will show up. Consistency is important. So the question around what time is almost less relevant, as in when you show up consistently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And then the last question to leave us out on is how has interviews and being questioned allowed you to either build more influence or make more dollars or have more income?
I've been truly blessed and fortunate to be on many podcasts, global radio shows, LinkedIn shows, other shows over the last number of months. And the fact that I'm able to use my voice to share my story in different ways, whether it be related to LinkedIn or life story, is always beneficial. So is showing up socially, like on a platform like LinkedIn. So on both sides, when you talk about influence and then you talk about money, okay, when you show up and use your voice, you are seen. Every time you show up, you are visible. When you don't show up, you're not visible. Consistency is really important. I teach people how to do this. And so showing up consistently and using your voice to voice your vibe and attract your tribe, you will if you show up consistently. And by showing up consistently, opportunities will show up and happen organically. I have had many opportunities that I am a part of, whether they be board positions, advisory opportunities, speaking engagements throughout the year, being able to help Fortune executives find their voice and, you know, and build community and attract their tribes and such. All of these things have come organically from showing up. So you can equate showing up to, yes, influence, which is about helping people and giving. It's not about you, it's about everybody else. And then doing those things, the dollars come. You know, yeah, there's strategy behind your purpose and how you're presenting yourself out there into the world, right? But, and being genuine and authentic in you, which is the most important thing, always come from your heart, no matter what it is. But everything else, the dollars come. The dollars come. So I think some people try and focus on the dollars first.
Yep.
If you just come from your heart first and be consistent and keep showing up, everything else is going to happen. And you can be strategic in how you do that to make that happen.
Man, wow. Oh man, I beautifully said. I don't think there's any way better to end it right now. Truly, honestly, seriously, the dollars come when you start making a difference. So that's amazing. Very well said, Brian. Thank you so much for being on the show. I truly am so lucky and fortunate to know you. So much love, my man.
Logan, much love to you, buddy. I'm inspired by you. I love everything that you're about and what you're doing. I'm glad you put this show together. It's an honor to be on here with you, and I'm always here to support you, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah, until then, we'll catch you on the other side, all right?
Sounds good, my man. Thank you for having me on your show.
100%.
There'll be girls across the nation that'll eat this up. Babe, I know that it's your soul, but could you bottle it up? Get down to the heart of it. No, it's my heart. Your shit out of your luck. Don't make me tell you again. Woo! Love, love, love. Hey. Love, 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 love.
Oh, wow. You made it to the very end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with your host, Logan Tyler Nelson. To make it to the end, gosh, that doesn't happen very much nowadays. I mean, especially with the constant distraction. So I appreciate all of the efforts that you just took out of your day to make it to the end. And if you hit that subscribe button and leave a review, you would have no idea what that would mean to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you leave a review, check it out. Just screenshot it, send it to me, and I'd love to host your review out on the show. But don't ever forget, like I say, you matter and you're enough.
Love is the main reason for how all this happened. Love for all my fans, love for all the shows. Got love for all my memories, no matter where I go. Even if I'm out to nothing, I know there's always something. It's not a fitness test, but it'll always